On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We have seen a major, huge shift. And this is not just a good idea. This is actually kind of messed up. There are certain treaties that have been signed that because of these treaties leave many vulnerabilities available. And we've come to find out that's exactly what happened in Russia. This is a very messed up situation. Russia has taken a really big hit. They've made a retaliation. Not sure exactly who was involved, and I don't know if we will ever know, but my guess is it was a very specific coincidence when it comes to who they took out. So a lot of crazy is building right now. So far, it seems Russia's had a reasonably tapered response. You don't just willy-nilly do something, though. So their discussions are happening in Turkey, and we're going to talk about it soon. It's coming up, so I'm not going to bury that one too far. Got a great piece of Scott of Ascent talking, and it's actually worth the time. I'm going to play it, I think, at 1.25 just to get through. It's like 13 minutes, but it's extraordinary information about what's happening with the world, what's happening with the way the mainstream media is kind of framing things in a way that's incorrect. We are in a situation big time right now where they're trying to manipulate us. People are trying to manipulate us. And they do it generally through fear or being scared or it's causing fear. And I want to say, if any of the shows or channels that you watch are promoting fear, make a note. That is honestly not probably a great source of information. And secondly, if you're feeling fear, then you obviously don't get how this battle's going. You don't get that we're actually winning. You don't get that God wins. You don't actually understand that. And I'm not trying to put blame. I'm not trying to say anything. I'm trying to help us assess, self-assess. Because that's the only place where you can actually do anything about how you feel. Most of this stuff we can't do anything about. Most of us are freaked out about something that we can't even touch. AI is one of the biggest fear things right now. You know, the universe is made with specific rules, and it's kind of funny that a lot of times we try to humanize things a lot more than maybe it would naturally gravitate towards. The way of nature is not necessarily evil. A lot of people try to say that, well, it's just human nature. It's not human nature. It's evil's nature. Normal humans don't kill each other. Normal humans don't want to destroy everything. Normal humans don't want to do some of the horrific things we've heard with children or people or bodies or humans or what. Normal people don't do that. It's not human nature. And so who's to assume that AI nature, I mean, if it's programmed to be nefarious, sure. You can program things to be positive and they can sit there and fight it out. But we've got a bigger problem, and that's really our collective conscious. And if we don't kind of get that dialed in, and that's why I think you guys are so important to the big picture, if we don't get that dialed in, if we're running around promoting fear and being in fear, we're hurting our cause. Pure and simple. We're actually hurting the cause. People who use fear to try to motivate do not understand the deprivation of fear, or they do so much that they're intentionally doing it. I've even noticed a bunch of people that I typically follow, and it's just funny because I've been suspicious of some for a while, and then I just paid attention to their name, and their name was like perfect for exactly what they're doing, and I'm like, haha, that's it. It's right in front of us. In all cases, everybody's telling us, at least in one way, shape, or form. All said, got a lot of awesome news I want to get through. This I was just totally wrong about yesterday. I actually thought France was pissed off, and I was tripping on the fact that they were all out burning down much of the city, it seems, and they weren't wearing their wonderful traffic vests, which for those of you who don't understand, I think, and I'm maybe I'm slightly wrong on this, but I think I got the gist of it, is in France, it's a requirement to own this that green fluorescent colored vest, and so that way if something does happen to you while you're driving, when you get out of your car, you need to put that vest on so drivers don't hit you. And then I think you probably got cones and crap too. They probably got all sorts of weird stuff, and you've got to do all this legal stuff, else you'll get arrested or ticketed, probably more. So they generally, I think, wear it somewhat in protest, maybe so they don't get tickets. I don't fully understand the craziness that we call France. But I thought this had to do with them being pissed off about, the stuff that's going on in their country, which makes a hell lot more sense, frankly. But no. This has to do with the football game, a.k.a. soccer game. Yeah, and the country that won versus the country that lost basically burned down. I don't know if it was the which team lost. I don't even know. Foot Locker, they got burned down, and it burned down a whole bunch of crap. People are strange when their teams lose. That's all I know. I've seen people do it with basketball games here in the United States. It just blows my mind. Anyway, so I was totally wrong about why they burned down their city. They were still burning down their city. Just I thought they were doing it for a more understandable cause. Whatever. That's said. Okay, let's get into this Russia stuff. This is what's scary about this. Is this literally changes warfare completely. When we think about how many of our bombers that we've got, those B-52s that we've got parked, what was it, Wright-Patterson, where we got those, or wherever they are, Ohio, whatever, wherever they are. I don't know exactly where they are. All we need is a semi-truck with some sort of way to pop the top, which is not hard to do. Hinge it from the inside, pop it, blow it, whatever you want. And you could fill the thing up with a bunch of drones. These drones could have small amounts of weapons, could just be kamikaze drones with explosives built into them. And you could fly them right into the base, which is exactly what they did. They had a bunch of these trailers, these boxcar type things, if you will. They weren't boxcars, that makes it sound like it was like a train car, but like a shipping container kind of thing, I guess. Maybe not even that big, but something to that effect. And they had them hidden all around near where this air base was in Russia. Which again, cheers, good on you. That's good war technique to try to get your weapon in close. But the problem is this air base is where Russia has all of its nuclear bombers. And because of treaties with us specifically, and others, NATO and crap like that, we all keep our nuclear bombers in plain sight. We don't hide them. We don't put them underneath bunkers. We don't put them underground. And the reason we don't is because we want them to know if we're fueling it. And we want them to be able to see with satellites and everything else whether or not we're putting nuclear weapons on them. So they're kept in the open, and there's this norm, this acceptance, this rule that we're not going to attack. We got you. We see them there. I mean, if we have a nuclear war, of course I'm going to shoot there. Come on, duh. But we won't just attack it randomly. That'd be messed up. So this has been going on for a long time. Now, what we understand, and we don't know for sure, obviously, but we'll see how things play out and what's publicly stated and what's not, that when Zelensky made the call to do this, to make this attack happen, what these guys did, they pulled these things out of hiding, put them on flatbed trucks, drove the flatbed trucks right over by this airport where the Russians had all their strategic bombers, and then left, ran, whatever. And once these attacks happened, the trucks themselves were blown up or whatever. So very, very sneaky, kudos on Zelensky and his military for doing this. Again, this is what everyone's doing now. China, North Korea, right? Remember how we were worried about the K cars and the K Club or whatever they called them with the missile that could open up out of the shipping container? What about this? And they're talking about motherships. What about this? Now, I know China's got a new piece of technology. It's an aircraft that flies reasonably fast that can shoot out hundreds of drones. But again, we see it coming from miles and miles away. It's not like it's stealthy. But this is now the way of the future. And this did extraordinary damage to Russia. Right, wrong, and different. I mean, you can hate Russia. I don't hate anybody. I don't think, we have more information here in a sec, but like we've come to find out, this is just a proxy war. And as stated by Kellogg, he believes it's more of a proxy war between NATO and Russia than so much United States per se and Russia, which is some of why we think we see Trump kind of trying to back away from the NATO thing, make them sort of self-fund better. We don't want to just leave them high and dry, especially right now as they're trying to start World War III, and the United States is like, we don't really want to be a part of this. Senator Hawley urging people to look into this China finance trucking company because, again, who knows what they're driving around. We've already found multiple cases, and this is probably more for like the Venezuelan gangs and stuff like that. But there was like 250,000 rounds of ammo that were in a van that was causing it to ride funny. This was in Colorado. Some cops pulled them over. Had a bunch of ammo illegally. They were illegal people. Don't know where they were going with all that ammo, but that's a butt ton of ammo. China Finance Trucking Company. Howley looking into it. Hopefully find some stuff. So will Russia's retaliation to Ukraine's strategic drone strike decisively end the war? Most likely not. Most likely not. This is a funny or interesting piece of information, though. Trump had just recently come out and told Russia that he's managed to stop some really bad things from happening, really bad things. And has frequently talked about how if we can't find a way to get peace, then, I don't know. I don't know what we can do to keep that from happening. So many are saying it's possible that Trump might have known about this little setup of drones. And probably had told Zelensky, look, if you launch those, we're done. That's not acceptable. There's a treaty, and that's unacceptable. And that's an extremely high priority target. So the way things are playing out are interesting. Again, Istanbul talks. They actually resumed their talks today, Monday. It was earlier our time as far as when you're seeing this video. But they had talks, lasted less than an hour. And essentially, Ukraine wanted a full-blown cease of fire. They wanted a ceasefire. No constraints, no restrictions, just blatant, let's stop fighting, right? Right after they just took out huge amount of targets. Now we're done now. Whoop, white flag. Whoa. And Russia's like, look, here's the deal. We still want the territories we've taken. You need to get out of those territories. And if not, no. So as we understand right now, nobody has agreed to a ceasefire. So things likely will continue. This is again where Kellogg was talking on one of the shows this weekend, and he just basically said he thinks it's a proxy war by NATO. And he said, and frankly, in a way it is. The escalatory issues are still there. He's talking about Chancellor Merz from Germany, talking about how he wanted to give Ukraine the Taurus missile system. Basically, Russia came back and said, look, you do that, we're going to consider you part of this. So they maybe pulled back a little bit, realizing, one, if you try to start World War III country, France, England, Germany, if either one of you tries to start World War III, I think Russia Trump to a large extent has kind of been like, look, we're not going to support that. I think he said the same thing to Ukraine. So I think Ukraine did this attack without Trump's knowledge, which is a slap in Trump's face also. It is the largest form of disrespect that Zelensky could have done, because there's no way Trump would have okayed that. There's no way. Now, a lot of people are spinning this because he made the comments that very bad things will happen, that Trump knew this was going to happen or probably okayed it. He probably knew about it and probably straight up told Ukraine, hell no. Hell no. You better keep a lid on that or else. Or else what? You'll find out. F around, buddy. So I'm sure there's some back channel discussions happening. Publicly, of course, we can't be all like Trump and Russia are buddy, or Trump and Putin are buddy. We can't. But this is, it's an escalation, unquestionable. Now, Russia did a strike. It's the only strike I could find thus far. Russian strike on Ukraine training units leaves at least 12 dead, 60 injured. A training units. I wonder very much what was located here. I believe they hit it with missiles. It was located to the rear, about 1,000 kilometers active front line, or to the rear of the 1,000-kilometer active front line, where Russian reconnaissance and strike drones are able to strike. So Ukraine's forces, big hit stuff. I don't know, hit housing. I'm guessing they knew somebody was there. I'm assuming they got a high-level person, probably. Maybe they're being quiet about it. Maybe they want to see if they can see any discussions to verify. Russia and Ukraine reached a deal on their POW swap, at least, while they were there. Again, they only met for about an hour. They agreed to swap a bunch of troops. Now, again, another rumor that seems to be going around, at least Zelensky or Putin is disagreeing with it, saying it's not true, it's not reality. I wish you guys would stop making stories up. And it sounds exactly like the types of things you would see made up. And I'm also finding it in the same places that you would typically see made up stories, especially when it comes to like Trump, like your Axios, Politico. Those are the places I was spotting the story. Axios I don't actually dig into, but there's some other sources that I look through that tend to go to Axios frequently. So again, it's just one of those things where they're trying to make it sound like Russia's got all these children that they're willing to swap back. And it's like, why would they have children? That's just stupid. I mean, there's a lot of ways they could handle children and have a bunch of children. Just take one of your prisoners or find some lady or whatever and be like, all right, I'm giving you a bunch of kids. You're going to walk that way and we're going to make sure you're okay. All right, bye-bye. All right. So again, easy to deal with that kind of situation. So I think it's a bunch of bullshit, frankly. But yeah, they're swapping out some peeps. We'll see if hopefully that moves us in the right direction. Tulsi Gabbard was out speaking at a Shangri-La summit, basically the Pacific, and just basically letting them all know, look, here's the thing. We're very involved in this area. We're not going to leave you alone. So our multipolar world, we have like basically the Americas and pretty much down to Australia. Not that it's ours, but it's our protective area. Hawaii, probably out to the Japanese islands, down to the Philippines, Guam, of course. Right? So we've got this large sort of bit that's our pole. And then China's going to have theirs, and it's really going to start maybe at Taiwan if they're lucky, but it's going to start kind of at China on down. I think Sri Lanka and some other stuff down below them, or at least where we get a lot of our coffee from, the Sumatra Islands and all that crap over there. But Indonesia, I think. Anyway, whatever. Kind of over that area gets a little hazy where the lines divide for me. But still, nonetheless, there's a lot of great coffee in that part of the world. So these polls are setting up that way, right? And this is a big part of what Tulsi Gabbard's out there talking about. Like, look, we've got this. There was 40 countries that were present there, 500 people. And really, a lot of what sounds like she was saying is, we kind of got to get people talking. Right, she quote here, the overarching message is very consistent with what President Trump has been speaking about throughout his administration and his term in office, which is that he wants to be the president of peace. Peace means we have to talk. Peace means we have to get together and understand each other. What's going on in your country? Why do you behave the way you do? Why do you want to behave the way you do? What are your motivations, right? And once we know that, now we can work with somebody. Now we can find common ground. We may not fully agree with them, but we're like, okay, I kind of understand why they're doing it. How about you come at it slightly from this angle, we come at it from this angle, huh? And they're like, okay, well, what about you do a little of this too? And you're like, we can do that. We can do that. I don't want to, but we can. And that's compromise, right? That's called being married. I don't know. I haven't been married. Don't plan to either. Not a direction, not a part of my life I care to fail at. I failed at enough things in my life. I will leave that one for all of huge amounts of my family. Huge amounts of my family. Globalists defeated in Poland. This is a really big deal. Karol Nawrocki. He is now the prime minister. I think that's what he is. Yeah, he's prime minister. He beat out Prime Minister Donald Tusk, which I thought was an interesting name. Tusk has been a big part of the problem with Ukraine. Poland was the one country that was really questionable, very strange how they kept behaving, especially, just in the big picture, especially historically in that part of the world. All said, Poland's got a new direction, and it's someone that's very pro-Trump, if you will. and is kind of anti-EU, anti-immigration. That's one of the big things he said he's going to start changing. He says, my Poland is a Poland without illegal migrants, where instead of integration centers, there are deportation centers. He's coming in hard like Trump. This is going to piss off Europe as well. We've got enough countries in Europe, or starting to anyways, have enough countries in Europe that are willing to stand up for their countries and push back on the EU. Let's hope Keir Starmer doesn't have a chance to smash that too much. Britain did this weird thing. Don't want to spend a lot of time on it because, frankly, I don't know. I don't understand anything that they do in their country. It makes zero sense to me. And I've got a friend that'll probably try to explain it to me. I actually don't care. I don't give a shit what you guys do when it comes to your politics. It makes no sense. I don't want it to make any sense. I'm trying to understand my country. You guys do your thing. I am just bringing it up for my American friends so they understand crazy shit's going on over in England. Look, they had some sort of local elections, I guess, because their political relevance, but they limited national impact. So these local elections that they had, and it started, I guess, in May, several local councils. This caused some sway. Farage is actually winning a bunch. I guess it doesn't count for anything per se, but it does. So yeah, this is kind of a slap on the cheek of the national version of government, basically saying, look, a whole bunch of our country, of the 1,632 wards, Farage won 677 of them, and Labor's not doing that great. They actually lost one of their major strongholds, I guess is County Durham. It's their largest and longest stronghold for like 100 years. They lost. Again, these elections don't seem legitimate other than sort of indicative that large portions of the country do not like what the government is doing. All right? That's about as close to hoping to explain that as I'm going to. And if I'm wrong, who cares? It's England. It's some crazy. They got kings and shit. Who gives a shit? Farage's Reform Party launches Doge team to tackle waste in the English Council. So he's trying to do basically what we're doing, which good on Farage. He's got all these wards, apparently. 677 or whatever it was. So, yeah, it's cool. They're making some good choices there. See what happens. German expulsion of asylum seekers by border police has been now considered unlawful by the court, it seems. This is just, again, more of the crap. Germany is screwed. I was kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, maybe it's just karma for the country. I feel bad to a degree. I mean, it sucks to ever see anyone go through karma, but karma is karma, and it is interesting. And Germany has been problematic throughout history, so maybe this is some of the pain that they're going to have to suffer to reach heights that they deserve to get to, I think. Hopefully without killing a bunch of people. That would be the preferred approach. We had a gunman that retaliated against Mexican border state cops. Now, this isn't border patrol on our side. This is Mexican border patrol, if you will. But this is more of the cartel stuff. This is actually members of the cartel, one of the ones that we've even called out. It is the Matamoros, the Tamaulipas. I don't know the gangs and all of them, but these are pretty big dudes, big cartel, and big violence going on. So I think a lot of this is just trying to build some energy towards what's ultimately going to probably happen at some point down the road when we militarily get involved to help free Mexico. But I think we've got a little ways to go here first before that happens. Maybe even getting through our summer of love. We'll see how this goes. Brazil's political landscape shifts. Apparently Bolsonaro is facing legal challenges, of course, and could very well ending up in jail. But this will make him even more popular, right? So depending how this plays out, and they've got, of course, a tyrant Supreme Court justice that is essentially a dictator on the bench. It's the first time I think it's ever happened. At some point, I think that will probably be remedied. How exactly, don't know, but we will get there. But Bolsonaro, yeah, they're still trying to ram that dude into the ground as hard as they can. So hopefully they are unable to pull it off. We'll see. The Wellness Company, these guys are freaking awesome. And I am telling you, I am tripping on this Parasite Cleanse I'm on. We're going to talk about it in a sec with these guys because they have a great product. But you want to go to twc.health/OTF. That's twc.health/OTF. They've got a couple best sellers. This is one in particular, Recharge, that's newer. And this one's kind of fun. It's methylene blue and I guess urolithin A. These two things, when are brought together, they increase your ATP production or your cellular energy. So it increases that energy. It's antioxidant, so it kind of helps in the aging process or even helps de-age almost. Enhanced cognitive function, makes you a little smarter and faster, and probably should make sure I'm doing it too. Promotes healthy aging, which again is the big part of the antioxidants. So a large helpful thing. They got the methylene blue in there, which mental clarity, focus, increase ATP, all that stuff. Urolithin A, it supports healthy mitochondrial functions for enhanced energy levels, stronger muscles, and increased endurance. It's a really powerful product that a lot of people are freaking digging. So Recharge is one of the ones you want to go ahead and check out. It's just under bestsellers. Hit the Recharge. Also, the other one is the ivermectin and mebendazole. This, man, it's tripping me out how my body is reacting. I guess they're out of stock for a short period of time, but it'll be back in stock soon. This is, like I said, the cleanse. At first, it was weird. I was feeling pains in a weird few places. Then I started noticing that my bloating had almost completely gone away. In fact, I even kind of went like 3 days, like last week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I was basically drinking a lot of carbonated stuff. Like I was doing, I think some White Claws, and then I was pounding down some beers. So I was drinking a lot of carbonation. I did it as an experiment because normally 1 day of carbonation, and I was so heavily bloated, it would take me many days to get the bloating down even a little. And it would sit really high, like up above my stomach. It was very uncomfortable. It was annoying. It was weird. And so I finally just got fed up with it. And I said, I wonder if I just got parasites, because you keep hearing everybody talk about it. And I said, screw it. So I started my Parasite Cleanse. And literally Wednesday will be the start of my third week. I'm finishing up my second week right now. And I am actually noticing more energy. I am actually noticing I'm sleeping better. I am actually noticing the bloating goes away far quicker than it ever did before. Like after the drinking I did, it took me about half a day. And I was like, holy crap, my stomach's like kind of back to normal. It is amazing how many places we probably have parasites and how they affect our bodies in different ways. Some places it might cause pain, and some places it may cause maybe digestion issues. This is one thing I've actually noticed too. I don't think I was digesting as much food. I think I was wasting more of it than actually using. And then on top of all that, I'm getting this bloating from whatever's pushing out gas inside my body, probably. It's having an amazing effect on me. I don't even know what to say. I'm going to keep doing it for sure. I'm going at least another 2 weeks for sure. And I might go longer. It is tripping me out. I do think it's tied to the Wi-Fi. I think they've been pumping up the 5G stuff a lot all over the place. They've been building it up and building it out. I do think that extra, whether it's intentional or not, I think there's a big tie into frequency and disease. I mean, the first major flu we had tied into radio coming out here, and there's been some other ones. Telegraph came out. I think there's something happened, and so there's been a lot of very interesting electromagnetic things that have occurred on this planet that are significant, that have then caused outbreaks of significant sickness. Many people were talking about that's what happened at Wuhan. They turned on the 5G and instantly got everybody super sick. Might have just been a flu type thing or whatever. But what I think it does is I think it excites either A, certain parasites, or B, it just excites the parasites in the body of people, which then makes you more sick, more sickly. And if they keep that pumped up, it'll continue to make you sick. And then the medicines they give you don't make you healthier. That leaves the parasites, but sort of deals with how you're feeling. So you're bloated still, but you feel better, kind of, sort of. You still can't tie your shoes because you got a big old bubble sitting on your gut, right? So again, the Parasite Cleanse has been a big one. twc.health/OTF, twc.health/OTF. That's your ivermectin, mebendazole. Boom, right there. Also do recommend the kits, emergency kit, contagion kit's got ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. It's got another like Tamiflu. It's got a Z-Pack in there, and it's also got an upper respiratory open thing that'll open up. I feel like there's one other thing in there, but it's got the infuser, so you can do the whole 9 yards. You got 5 vials of that too. So that's like when you get real serious and you can't breathe at all, you're just totally blocked up. That's like asthma medicine. It'll kind of really help open you up. That contagion kit's a lifesaver if you get really, really sick. Hopefully, if you do your Parasite Cleanse, it won't be an issue anyway. But this also, for those of you that have done some understanding or studies, there's been some weird correlations they've suggested between some cancers and parasites, interestingly enough. Like some things maybe start to happen because the byproduct that the parasites are releasing as waste might actually be killing cells and creating weird situations, right? And so when you stop that ability to create that waste, maybe those cells won't continue to get degraded, or at least the ones that are will be able to die off at some point, because all cells do die eventually, and they won't be replaced with another bad cell because you're not continuing to poison yourself. A lot of things to consider. Go to twc.health/OTF. That's twc.health/OTF. You want to make those healthy choices without a doubt. Let's see. Critics. Oh, yeah, this is one of the Axios stories that cracked me up. But they gave a piece of information that I thought was fantastic, even though they're spinning it. So they are basically saying that the White House is now using a question to decide whether or not people like Trump enough, and if you don't like Trump enough, they're not going to hire you. That's what Axios is saying. What the reality of this is, and this is brilliant, actually, and this does sound like something Trump would do because he understands how hiring works. But he says there's a little easy form, an essay form, sorry. Yeah, see, I would have failed. There's an essay form, maximum of 200 words, and they certify that you did not use artificial intelligence to create this. Now, what's funny is the question they ask is, let's see, the memo's latest, where is it? Candidates for civil service jobs, including janitors, nurses, surgeons, engineers, lawyers, and economists, are to be asked 4 questions on their level of patriotism and support for the president's policies. This is a fantastic question to force people to write 200-word short answers, because they're things that people are passionate about one way or the other. Right, wrong, and different, they're great questions. It'll get somebody excited, and you get to see what are they capable of putting together in words. Does it make sense? Is it really poor grammar? Like, I like dog, I like cat, I like insect, right? Like, then, yeah, they probably don't speak really good English. Again, you're figuring a lot out. If they go into an 8,000-word essay on why Trump is horrible, well, shit, it says 200 words. You obviously don't follow directions. There's a lot that can come from such a question. So again, people take things very much at face value right now, and sometimes it's bigger than that. Sometimes it's bigger than that, right? Like even the picture of him with the peace sign yesterday, and I don't know, I still think it's kind of weird that he's sharing the story. And I swear to God, I thought Biden was dead in 2018, not 2020. Whatever. I think one of the key big things about it is people are talking about it. And that's pretty awesome. And it's making it into the mainstream news. And yeah, maybe they're saying Trump's crazy and off his rocker. And there's a lot of people on our side of the fence that seem to continue to push that same narrative. But whatever the case is. John Fetterman, again, I'm kind of liking this guy, and he's talking about how his party, well, doesn't like him. And he sort of gets into why. And again, this is how the deep state works. And Fetterman is, I think, either ignorant of it, which I doubt, or kind of playing ignorance and speaking to the political truths of what his stance is, which I think he's right. I think he's got the best stance in the Democrat Party. I like it. Yeah. Whoops. But still. Yeah. So he's pissing off his own base. Well, not his own base. His base likes him, I think. He's pissing off his party. RHS removes sanctuary city list after criticism from sheriffs. I think this is funny. This might have been an accident by Kristi Noem, like not realizing this would happen. I would be 100% sure that people that signed off on this, at least a few of them, were well aware that this would happen. And it's sort of funny to an extent. And it will make rounding up people easier. So what happened was, if you guys were, I talked about it, I believe, yesterday, but DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, she put out a list of the worst states when it comes to sanctuary states, and then she got into sanctuary counties, and then even down into some of the places with the most sanctuary cities, like specific states. And so she had this list up on, essentially on the DHS website, right? And they had some sheriffs go, dude, this is horrible, man. You're telling people basically where to go. Don't do that. That's not good. That's not helping us. We're trying to help with you. We're trying to work with you guys. We're the sheriff. We're not state police. All right? Sheriff are elected in. It's different. They kind of answer to a different group. I don't fully understand it, but the police are the state's policing force, and then the sheriff are kind of, I think, the people's policing force. Probably getting that slightly wrong, but there's some distinctions in there. So this had that effect, or will have that effect, or this story will never go. And so what's going to happen with a lot of these illegals that are afraid they're going to get rounded up are going to move to these states and to these cities. And what's DHS going to do? Well, they're going to be looking out for these cities, the cities that are going to be the most disrespectful towards this process. They've already accepted this is how it's going to be. This is how it's going to be. The cities that are likely going to offer up the most number of politicians that will ultimately end up doing something illegal. The sanctuary cities and states. I hand you on a silver platter where many, many, many politicians are going to get arrested. And it's going to hurt the states. I live in one of them, so it sucks, but oh well. It's going to hurt the states that deserve to be hurt. Yep. We got these stupid policies. We get to eat the pain. And that's how it's going to be. And then a lot of us are going to scream because of how bad it's likely going to get. Well, I've been screaming, but you get the point. So this was, whoops. Operation Patriot. They rounded up 1,500 illegals in the greater Boston area. They hit the Nantucket area recently, too. So they're just pulling people from all over the place. All over the place. Steve Miller is saying we live in an age of left-wing domestic terrorism. They are openly encouraging violence against law enforcement to aid and abet the invasion of America. This is literally a San Diego city councilman. He put this out showing ICE and calling them terrorists on the Post. Well, interestingly, in San Diego, heavily armed human smugglers were busted near the border in California. I wonder if this same city councilman, I wonder if Sean Elo Rivera is fond of letting these people go too. Probably. I'm guessing that Sean Elo Rivera would prefer people like this that are trafficking humans, and that's how they got caught, bringing in all sorts of weapons that they continue to come and go as they please. Right? Sean Elo Rivera? Isn't that how you generally feel about this? I'm assuming that's the case. Oh, there he is. There he goes. Elo Rivera. News at 11. Surprised you didn't have like a teardrop tattoo, you bastard. You pile of trash. Anyway, at least they got the bastards down there. Supreme Court hands big win to fossil fuel agency power. This was, talked about. This is interesting. The environmental agencies and the groups and all the crap they try to look at. Like if you're going to run a pipe from here to there, they try to break it down into all this extra ancillary stuff. Like you're moving oil from here to here, but they're like, yeah, but then once they get the oil, then they're going to transport that oil from here to there, then over here to there, and then they're going to shove it in a car and catch it on fire and burn it, just burn it. That's all you. That's 100% you. And they're like, whoa, no, we just did the pipe. That's us. Nope, because anything that's used from the pipe is obviously you too, because if the pipe never existed, then there's no way it could have gone any further. Well, they lost that 8-0. Oddly, why? There's been a few 8-0 rulings lately, and I'm assuming one of these people is sitting on the board of something or what. I don't know. This is very interesting because one of the Supreme Court justices continues to remove themselves from some of these votes. I find that very interesting. Not sure why. Maybe they're getting money, donating money too, maybe? Who knows? House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer reiterated a call for the U.S. Department of Justice to pursue legal action against Hunter and James Biden based on several investigations the Oversight Committee has pursued. So House Republicans sent criminal referrals to the Justice Department regarding the provably false statements the Biden family members made to both the Oversight and Judiciary Committees last year. With the change in leadership at the Justice Department since President Trump's inauguration in January, Comer said on Sunday that he is hopeful the DOJ will take action, admitting that it has not yet done so. First arrests will be interesting. California Democratic Rep Maxine Waters, one of the all-time worst reps out there. Congressional campaign has been fined $68,000 for violating several federal campaign finance laws during her 2020 2020 re-election bid. I think we had talked about this back then too. I want to say she was paying a family member to do something weird. I don't know. She was doing a bunch of weird stuff. What was it? 19,000 worth of excessive contributions. They made $7,000 worth of prohibited cash disbursements from petty cash fund. Nice. All said, she's 68 grand. It's probably a drop in the bucket for her, frankly. But this was a pretty good little thing talking about LA's homelessness and the wasted money that they've done. They've gotten a huge amount of the federal money, and there's investigations going into, yes, my state, California, and I hope they catch the guilty bastards, and I hope we are punished. I hope we are, because this is going to be how we're going to get our state back. It's finally dawned on me. I'm like, it's going to be all this kind of crap, and then eventually we're going to be like, we have to get a hold of our elections because these people have been running us into the ground, and we can't seem to get rid of them. None of us like any of the people in any of the positions of power, yet they seem to continue to get reelected. Yeah, I don't think it's because it's legit. All said, this is pretty interesting.
Appointed U.S. Attorney in Los Angeles launching a new task force to investigate how billions of dollars in homeless funding has been spent. Grand juries, subpoenas, even arrests are all on the table. Matt Finn is reporting live from Los Angeles on this. You sat down with the U.S. Attorney. What did you learn?
Well, Sandra, the Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, they take a lot of heat for the ongoing homeless crisis here. Well, now there's a new Republican MAGA-aligned United States Attorney here in Los Angeles, Bill Ascent. He just launched a federal probe investigating exactly where California's homeless dollars are going. The FBI and IRS are going to assist. Ascent estimates $24 billion in homeless funding statewide over the past 5 years, much of that spent here in Southern California.
We will get to the bottom of it, and if we find that any federal laws are violated, we will arrest and prosecute those individuals involved.
The new U.S. Attorney points to a recent audit that revealed more than $2 billion in homeless funds is unaccounted for here in L.A. County alone.
We want to know who's getting the money and who's benefiting off this, because it's not the homeless people here in Los Angeles. The problem's gotten worse. There's about 7 people dying every night on our streets, and that's unacceptable.
Governor Gavin Newsom and the chair of the L.A. County Supervisors tell Fox they welcome Ascent's investigation. However, L.A. Mayor Karen Bass, who says homeless numbers dropped by 10% last year, she says she doesn't want the investigation to be, quote, a fishing expedition or a distraction from her homeless mission. Now, there is also a federal judge here, David Carter, who is pictured touring Skid Row this past Sunday with Ascent. The judge calls L.A. Homeless Services the Rocky Horror Picture Show. He is also aggressively auditing homeless dollars here. He told Mayor Bass and the L.A. County Supervisors he's going to be their worst nightmare if they don't fix it by next month. Sandra.
Matt Finn with that story for us. Matt, thank you. And that
Rocky Horror Picture Show. Wow, that's okay. I feel like that's maybe a slight stretch. I've seen, but the homeless pop, it's gotten way worse. Even in my neck of the woods, like literally the place I go and get coffee on the weekends, and occasionally the one I go to on the weekdays, is majorly. Like there's a number of homeless people. It's gotten pretty crazy. This was really good. Scott Besant, I think I'm saying his name wrong all this time. I believe that's how she pronounces it. I'm going to see if I can kick this up to slightly faster speed, by the way. It is long, but it's very good, and Scott talks slow anyway, so I think it's going to work out well. He covers everything that really matters when it comes to the economy, what's going on with the tariffs, the prices, all this stuff. He does a brilliant job explaining it. I think it's extraordinarily important. It's obviously something I talk a lot about, and it does tie into gold. He doesn't bring gold up at all, but I still think precious metals is one of the smartest moves that you can make still at this point. Crazy stuff with the wars and China and everything else, guys. There's stuff. Trust me, they're keeping the stock market alive on probably just, pumping air into it. I'm not sure what. Anyway, check this out. It's pretty good.
We begin today with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Good morning, and thank you for being here.
Morning, Margaret.
There's so much to get to. I want to start with China, because the defense secretary just said there's an imminent military threat from China to Taiwan. Days earlier, Secretary Rubio said he'd aggressively revoked Chinese student visas. On top of that, you have curbing exports to China. Trade talks, you said, with Beijing are stalled, and President Trump just accused China of violating an agreement and now says no more Mr. Nice Guy. Are you intentionally escalating this standoff with Beijing?
Well, I don't think it's intentional. I think that what Secretary Hegseth did was remind everyone that during COVID, China was an unreliable partner. And what we are trying to do is to de-risk. We do not want to decouple, Margaret, but we do need to de-risk. As we saw during COVID, whether it was with semiconductors, medicines, the other products, we are in the process of de-risking.
Making the United States less reliant on China. But at the same
time, and the whole world. The whole world, because what China is doing is they are holding back products that are essential for the industrial supply chains of India, of Europe, and that is not what a reliable partner does.
So is that, like, what specifically is President Trump saying when he says they are violating an agreement? Because it was the one you negotiated in Geneva earlier this month. And what's the consequence for that?
Well, we will see what the consequences are. I'm confident that when President Trump and Party Chairman Xi have a call, that this will be ironed out. So, but the fact that they are withholding some of the products that they agreed to release during our agreement, maybe it's a glitch in the Chinese system, maybe it's intentional. We'll see after the president speaks with Party Chairman.
That's critical minerals, rare earths. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So the president has said a few times that he was going to speak to President Xi, but he hasn't since before the inauguration. Beijing keeps denying that there was any contact. Do you have anything scheduled?
I believe we'll see something very soon, Margaret.
Do you have a conversation with your counterpart or Lutnick with his counterpart at the commerce level?
Well, I think we're going to let the two principals have a conversation, and then everything will stem from that.
JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon spoke this week at an economic forum, and he gave this read on Beijing.
I just got back from China last week. They're not scared, folks. There's notion they're going to come bow to America. I wouldn't count on that. And when they have a problem, they put 100,000 engineers on it, and they've been preparing for this for years.
Have you underestimated the Chinese state's backbone here?
Again, Margaret, I hope it doesn't come to that. And Jamie's a great banker. I know him well, but I would vociferously disagree with that assessment that the laws of economics and gravity apply to the Chinese economy and the Chinese system, just like everyone else.
But when you were last here in March, we were trying to gauge what the impact of the standoff with China and with the tariffs on the rest of the world would do for American consumers here at home. At that time, you told us you were going to appoint an affordability czar and council to figure out 5, you said, or 8 areas where there will be some, pain for working class Americans. Where are you anticipating price increases?
Well, thus far, we wanted to make sure that there aren't price increases, Margaret, and thus far there have been no price increases. Everything has been alarmist. That the inflation numbers are actually dropping. We saw the first drop of inflation in 4 years. The inflation numbers last week were very pro-consumer.
Right. But you listen to earnings calls just like we do. Mm-hmm. You know what Walmart's saying, what Best Buy's saying, and what Target are saying.
But Margaret, I also know what Home Depot and Amazon are saying. I know what the South China Morning Post wrote within the past 24 hours. That 65% of the tariffs will likely be eaten by the Chinese producers.
So are there 5 or 8 areas that you have identified, as you said back in March, where American consumers will be able to have lower prices or should be warned of higher prices?
Well, a lot of it's already working its way through the system. So we've seen a substantial decrease in gasoline and energy prices. So that's down 20% year over year. We've seen the food prices go down. These notorious egg prices. Through the good work of President Trump and Secretary Rollins, egg prices have collapsed. So we're seeing more and more. And what we want to do is even that out across all sections of the economy. So inflation has been very tame. Consumer earnings were up 0.8% last month, which is a gigantic increase for 1 month. So real earnings minus low inflation is great for the American people, and that's what we're seeing.
But because when you met with the Chinese earlier this month, and you went down from the 145% tariff down to about, it's like 30%. 30% is not nothing, that tax on goods coming in here. Retailers are warning of price hikes. Well, when you go back to school shopping, things are going to cost more.
But Margaret, some are and some aren't. Home Depot and Amazon said they're not. And
Home Depot and Amazon aren't where you go for your back to school shopping. When you buy your jeans, when you buy your crayons, when you buy all those things that parents are going to be
I don't know about you, but I do it online at Amazon. This isn't an advertisement for Amazon. And guess where most of the Halloween costumes in America get bought? At Home Depot. So that's just not right. There's a wide aperture here. Different companies are doing different things. They are making decisions based on their customers, what they think they're able to pass along to their customers, what they want to do to keep their customers. And I was in the investment business for 35 years, Margaret, and I will tell you, earnings calls, they have to give the worst case scenario, because if they haven't and something bad happens, then they'll be sued.
It's not always the worst case. It's the most probable case.
No. They have to give the worst case.
So Walmart, there was just a piece published with the conservative strategist Karl Rove. I'm not asking about politics because he is a political strategist, but he went in on the math here. And he points out that Walmart has a profit margin of less than 3%. He says, if it does what Mr. Trump says, eat the tariffs, it can't break even. It can't absorb the cost of imported pair of kids' jeans with a 46% tariff on Vietnam, a 37% tariff for Bangladesh, or 32% tariff on sneakers from Indonesia. Other companies are in the same pickle. So should companies cut back on the amount of goods they have on their shelves or just on their profitability?
That's a decision company by company, Margaret. And I had a long discussion with Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart, and they're going to do what's right for them.
Before consumers, the reality is there will either be less inventory or things at higher prices or both.
Margaret, when we were here in March, you said there was going to be big inflation. There hasn't been any inflation. Actually, the inflation numbers are the best in 4 years. So why don't we stop trying to say this could happen and wait and see what does happen?
Just trying to gauge for people planning ahead here. One of the things the president said on Friday is that he's going to double the tariffs on steel and aluminum up to 50% effective June the 4th. How much will that impact the construction industry?
Well, I think I was with the president at the U.S. Steel plant in Pittsburgh on Friday, and I will tell you that the president has reignited the steel industry here in America. And back to the earlier statements on national security, there are national security priorities here for having a strong steel industry.
But do you have a prediction on how much it's going to impact the construction industry, for example?
Well, I have a prediction on how much it's going to impact the steel industry, and we'll see. There are a lot of elasticities. That this is a very complicated ecosystem. So, is it going to impact the construction industry? Maybe, but it's going to impact the steel industry in a great way. Those steel workers. Again, were left on the side of the road after the China shock, and now they're back. They are Trump supporters. And when I tell you that it was magic in the arena, or it was actually at the steel plant that night, that these hardworking Americans know their jobs are secure, there's going to be capital investment, and the number of jobs is going to be grown around the country, whether it's in Pittsburgh, whether it's in Arkansas, whether it's in Alabama.
I want to ask you about this big tax bill that worked through the House is going to the Senate next. In it is an increase or suspension to the debt limit that you need delivered on by mid-July. How close of a brush with default could this be, given how massive some of the Senate changes are expected to be to the other parts of the bill?
Well, first of all, Margaret, I will say the United States of America is never going to default. That is never going to happen. That we are on the warning track, and we will never hit the wall.
You have more wiggle room if they don't deliver this by mid-July? I mean, how hard of a date is this?
We don't give out the X date because we use that to move the bill forward.
Sometimes deadlines help force action, as you know, particularly in this town, sir. That's why I'm asking. The president did say he expects pretty significant changes to this bill, though, so that affects the timing of it moving. What would you like Republican lawmakers to keep? What would you like them to alter?
Again, that's going to be the Senate's decision. Leader Thrun, who I've worked closely with during this process, has been doing a fantastic job. And Margaret, I'll point out, everyone said that Speaker Johnson would not be able to get this bill out of the House with his slim majority. He got it out. Leader Thrun has a bigger majority, and this is with President Trump's leadership. So
there's no red lines for you in there. I've just don't touch this. You can, tinker with that.
Well, I think that they're not necessarily my red lines. The president has his campaign promises that he wants to fulfill for working Americans. So it's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans for American-made automobiles.
So those have to stay in.
Those have to stay in.
JP Morgan's Diamond also predicted a debt market crisis. Cracks in the bond market was what he said. You are considering easing some regulations, you've said, for the big banks. How do you avoid that bond market crisis he's predicting spreading and really causing concern, particularly with all of the worries about American debt right now?
So again, I've known Jamie a long time, and for his entire career, he's made predictions like this. Fortunately, none of them have come true. That's why he's a banker, a great banker. He tries to look around the corner. One of the reasons I'm sitting here talking to you today and not at home watching your show is that I was concerned about the level of debt. So the deficit this year is going to be lower than the deficit last year, and in 2 years, it will be lower again. We are going to bring the deficit down slowly. We didn't get here in 1 year. We didn't get here in 1 year, and this has been a long process. So the goal is to bring it down over the next 4 years, leave the country in great shape in 2028.
You know that the Speaker of the House estimates this is going to add $4 to $5 trillion over the next 10 years, and there's that debt limit increase.
Well, again, Margaret, that's CBO scoring.
That's the Speaker of the House.
No.
He said it last Sunday on this program.
He said that's the CBO scoring.
He said that sounds right.
Let me tell you what's not included in there, what can't be scored. So we're taking in substantial tariff income right now. So there are estimates that could be another $2 trillion that we are pushing through savings. So my estimate is that could be up to another $100 billion a year. So over the 10-year window, that could be $1 trillion. President has a prescription drug plan with the pharmaceutical companies that could substantially push down costs for prescription drugs, and that could be another $1 trillion. So there's the 4.
Treasury Secretary Ascent will be watching closely what happens next.
Dude, right? I think rock star. He handled those questions. He put her in her place multiple times. I don't mean that disrespectfully per se of her, even though she was trying to spin stuff incorrectly and then trying to act like I know what I'm talking about. It's like, no, well, apparently you don't. And Scott Bessent is one of the best in the business. I like how he even shut down, Jamie Dimon or whatever, right? It's like, yeah, he's a great banker. That's not what this is. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Sorry. Basically, it's what he said. So here's the big thing. I'm curious what happens in the Senate and how this plays out. A lot of grandstanding going on. That, honestly, in my opinion, is very much what the Senate does, right? Doesn't the Senate just generally da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then it seems like rarely do anything? They do investigations, sure. We got investigations happening in the House, though, more. Seems like they seem to pass bills and stuff, get stuff across, and then, I don't know, it just goes into the ether. Senate's just like, they do a lot of the judges and stuff. I get it, right? A lot of the confirmations. But it's strange right now. We've got, of course, Rand Paul, Ron Johnson, Howley. I feel like there's another one I'm dropping on. But these 4, and they're trying to basically make it sound like these 4, if they vote against it, would actually be able to stop any bill from moving forward. But here's the thing that, we're saying to them. We need to pass this. Based off what Bessent's talking, we got to get moving forward and then be able to actually legislatively remove some of these roadblocks, get through some of these judges things that are hamstringing us. Keep moving forward. Get our elections secured, which they're making progress on, by the way. Been a lot of little things happening here and there around elections and the voter registration lists. There's going to be a lot of getting those cleaned up, then verification that it's actually happened. If it hasn't happened, get a judge involved. All this, that we're already on it because we know what's going to happen. We know how this is going to get stalled. So we're already adding a bunch of time into it. And we're going to have a lot of this adjudicated before ballots are being printed this time for once. So again, we've got senators that are making noise. I think Rand Paul, what's he pissed off? I think he's pissed off about the debt ceiling, which he's saying $5 trillion is too much, and I agree. That's a lot. Tripped me out when they put that in there, and I think Trump likes the idea of having the credit card expanded, but and we do have a little ways to go, and I don't think he ever wants to have to raise it again. I think it's really one time we raise it, we never actually hit it. We start finally leveling back. So between tariffs, between cutting back with what Doge has done, between shaving off budgets and actually shrinking and consolidating much of the government, we are going to get cost savings, huge cost savings. The problem is people, Americans for sure, we have an attention span that's about 4 seconds, right? We can't go that far. We can't handle this not being fixed already. Trump's in office. What else needs to happen? Duh. And then you're like, you don't understand fucking anything, do you? This is extraordinarily complex. And the fact that we literally probably are going to pull this off in 4 years, and amazing how far we'll have come before the midterm elections really start to spin up, and think about all the shit that's going to come out that's true, right? All the truths. Epstein list, weird stuff like that. And again, the Epstein list is a funny one right now. So many people are like, did you fly in the plane? Did you fly in the plane? Did you fly in the plane? That doesn't mean you necessarily did anything nefarious. Seriously. Way too many people out there think that just because you were on the plane meant you were definitely guilty. It's the same thing with, there's actually some good actors. I want to say one of the Wayans brothers, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Love him. He's one of my favorites. He's cool as hell. He's a good singer. He's funny. Anyway, I'm drawing a blank. He was like, yeah, I'd go to Diddy's parties for sure. And then I'd leave because there was a time frame where everybody knew when the freak off happened. So he'd leave. These were his friends. He was hanging out with his friends. There was people that were hanging out with their other CEO friends. Oh, it's cool. You're going to Epstein? Okay. And then they get there and they're like, whoa, no, man. I'm married. I'm happily married. I got a family. Oh, no, thanks, man. I'll just stay out here and have drinks. It's cool. You guys do whatever you want to do, man. Sorry. Right? That's how it happened sometimes. Sometimes people made the right moral choice. Sometimes people passed the test. Just because they were on the frickin' airplane doesn't mean they're guilty. I'm not trying to stand up for anybody. I've never been to Epstein Island. I'm just somebody that generally just stands in the middle. Most of the time, it's where the truth is, somewhere in the center. Most people are like, oh, I never do anything wrong. Oh, I don't ever either. And I'm like, wow, I see where you both fucked up. How about that? We got to get smarter, guys. We got to get way smarter. Way smarter. But yeah, $5 trillion in new debt. I don't like it. Howley coming out. You know, he's another one of the guys that's pissed off. He's pissed off on the Medicaid side of things. Him and some other big players might be able to shake things down. I think the Medicaid argument, by the way, is a bullshit argument. Everything that I can understand thus far, I haven't read the entire bill. I haven't read in the bill, barely any of it anyway. But from what is being discussed, especially by Johnson himself, I'm sure he was involved in the process. But he's like, no, we're just taking it away from people that either A, can work, or are even working for that matter. People that are able-bodied, if they can't work, can't find work, well, then just volunteer 20 hours. We'll have stuff set up. It'll help benefit the bigger picture, and then you get your benefits. But these guys are freaking, that's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? It's not fair for him to sit on his ass when he could actually help take phone calls or something for 20 hours a week. Yeah, well, what's your cell phone number? All right, I'll push them straight to your phone call. If you miss one, that counts as not showing up for the day. Then your whole entire day doesn't count. And then you don't get Medicaid. Right? Work your damn 20 hours. We'll make it as easy as possible. You can be hawking. Be like, I am here to help you. What would you like? I know about your black holes. Right? Like, I mean, I don't like politicians. I don't at all. Stock market started way down this morning. It's kind of funny. Dow's still down, though. Not much. It'll catch up eventually. Look at that. They're trying so hard. There is some bullshit going on with the freaking stock market, guys. Look at these. I mean, again, went down hard this morning. And then it kind of went up, and then it went way down. And then they've been struggling all day. NASDAQ was the first one to pull above water. Gold's up big time. This is kind of significant. There's a lot of people that were talking. If gold manages, we'll see. We still got a little ways to go. They want to pull it down so bad, but I don't think they can. But they were suggesting that if gold finished above 33.50 today, that's like, that's a done deal people are going to really see that as a significant, not milestone, but indicator. Oil is up a little. 62 though, still not bad. It went way down to get to that point. Folks, listen, you're in stock market, you're in all that nonsense. I don't like it. This is my opinion, okay? This is not Goldco's opinion, certainly, but this is my opinion. This is what I pulled money out of my 401. I stopped investing. I started investing differently in my life a while back. And you should diversify is one of the big things. I don't just invest in one thing. I don't just have everything. I don't just have like a friggin' Fort Knox in my house, right? Like I don't have that much. I got some, right? There's emergencies, there's things, there's ways, there's, some of it's often trusts, some of it is different things. I've got specific stocks, Rumble, for an example. There's some couple things. So again, there are some places where you can control and do what you want. But when you're in a 401k or an IRA, your money's in a financed money manager's hands. They spend it on whatever they want. In a lot of cases, Vanguard, BlackRock, a lot of these guys are very deep state. They don't mean to be, I guess. I mean, at least the people that are maybe running around working there, they're like, no, we're not deep state. We don't ever have pagan holidays, and we don't have a Stonehenge in the middle of the office. No, But what they do have is people at the very tip top that are very much a part of that concept and help guide funds depending on what their overlords tell them. A lot of the times it's companies you don't necessarily want to invest in. DEI, carbon stuff, right? And carbon was a smart idea if that was actually going to go. And a lot of you guys probably in your own 401ks right now have some money in carbon stuff. That's dying. That's a whole entire industry that's literally dying. And many of you have been invested in it. Any one of you that were took a loss, I almost guarantee. You probably made some money at some point when Biden was in office, and after that, anybody that didn't get out beforehand, which the smart ones do, your Nancy Pelosi's did. They got out before. They get out first. And that's how it works, guys. The richy rich, they get out first, okay? Then the next level, then the next level, then the next level, then us. You're the last. It's your money that holds up their umbrella. Not when you're in precious metals. This is a physical thing that holds a value, has always. Pirates carried treasure chest with gold and silver, matey. Patch McCain even agrees with this. This is a physical thing that holds value, always has, always just historically has. It's how they traded back in the day. Read the Bible. There were shekels, but that was, I think, later, right? They had gold and silver, man. It was all about gold and silver. So this is a place to protect and hold wealth. You spent years accruing it. You got it all in your 401k right now. Decent numbers at the moment. They're still keeping it alive because people's pensions are tied up in this, by the way. Don't let them get you in the aftermath. It's that simple. I don't know what that was. That's stupid. Part of me wants to figure that out because that shouldn't be happening. We'll figure it out. But all said, get out of their system. Don't let them take it. Diversify at least, I should say. If you want to leave some in the stock, they recommend Goldco's. If you try to, I won't take it all out. And they'll be like, most people don't do that. So again, they're going to give you great advice. They're not going to go, Dan's right. They're not going to say anything stupid like that. No, Goldco will help you do it tax-free, penalty-free. They're going to give you plus up to 10% free silver. I think you got to get like 99,000 or 100 grand. If you hit that mark, then you get 10%, 5%. Yeah, 10%. Otherwise, it's like incremented, right? I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but I think they said 99 or 100,000. Like that's the sweet spot. That's when you hit full 10%. So if you do an example, 100,000 face value, right? They're giving you 10 grand in free silver. Silver's totally undervalued too. That's just in of itself is a powerful deal. Just that right there. And they get deals. You get bulk buy. I think there's some weird stuff. I don't know how it works. I'm not a buyer, but they get smart. They hedge. There's weird things they do. They can buy it from different places all over the place. And then once they got it, we can do what we want. So if they're smart about how they got it, they're going to give it out to you to help you sweeten your deal. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. 4 data points. Ideally, they're going to say, hey, if you can call us in 20, 30 minutes, I forget the number exactly, right? If you can call us and the timer starts going, give us a call this number. We'll get this ball rolling. If you can do that, you're going to get that free Ronald Reagan coin most likely. And there's some terms on that too. Read it all, small print. But for the most part, they're pretty cool about that one from my understanding. Again, this is about protecting your wealth. It's about giving you a great company that can do it for you, handle all the paperwork, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, help you with DocuSign so you can do it quickly because you're worried about it. That's what this is about. Read everything, all the contracts, understand. There's a lot of steps. Money moves from here to here to here to here. It has to. It comes out of your Fidelity or your BlackRock. It has to go into a holding account. That's how it works. Then they've got to buy precious metals with it. Then they got to get those metals. Then they got to put those metals into a trust. All of that is just steps along the way. There are steps to this. There is some pieces to this that you'll be like, ugh. I still think there's a lot of growth baked into it. You're still going to come out ahead, and you're not going to be stuck with whatever the heck they leave the leftovers to. It's your call. It's your thought. But I'll tell you what, they handle it. They answer all your questions. This is a straight up awesome company that's handling something that A lot of places are handling, but not necessarily with such professionalism, in my opinion. I like Goldco. I like these guys a lot. That's why I've stayed with them through, 3.5 years? However long it's been now. I love them. They're actually some of my favorite people to talk to. They're sweethearts over there. Absolutely. I don't want to call out their names, but yeah. The team that I work with, there's a few. And then even the guy at the top, just a sweetheart. Just a bunch of really nice people. Just trying our best to help you protect your wealth. Go to drslikesgold.com. That's drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. We had some athletes. There's a bunch of places this is happening at, right? But these ladies jumped off the thing, and then they're like, "Oh, you got to get out of here if you're not going to be a part of this," because transgender was, I think, the first person or something. So that so we had Washington, Oregon, and California. So California, even after Trump specifically called them out, I believe this is the actual individual right here. Again, I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but if you're born a male, you're not allowed to compete against females. It's just not fair. I don't care. I don't care. You can call me whatever name you want. That's fine. I'm not okay with that. I'm just not. And again, if you're a niece, hey, if you were a girl and then you're trying to become a boy, and then you want to go compete in boy sports, come talk to me and tell me how you feel about that. Tell me how that went. Yeah, that's the backwards direction, isn't it? Much harder that way. Oh, they're really good. Yeah, they are. So I don't know. Bone density is different. Muscle mass is different. There's a lot of differences between men and women physically. There's a whole chunk of a chromosome leg missing thing. We just fall over. That's why we can't lick our balls and stay on the couch. Missing that damn X out of there. Extra leg, and we'd be like, oh, fuck, I can use that to stabilize. Oh, fantastic. I can work on my flexibility now. Trans athletes tell critics to get a life after dominating girls' sports. So, I want to just be a boy when I grow up. Anyway, and I'm not trying to be mean to this individual. Yes, I am. Well, I'm not. His comment was it's hard. It's hard. Sorry. The comment was very messed up. Get a life? You kidding me? You literally just took girls out of competition, and you're not you weren't born a girl. You're not a girl. You can feel your gender is female, fine, but you're not a girl. Maybe that's better. I don't know if legally that handles, but that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be, again, I am pro-gay, pro-transgender. Just don't force kids. Don't try to talk them into it and then not tell their parents. There's a whole lot of stuff that's just totally off the table. No, absolutely, no. And it is funny because the legalities of it, by the way, and people are starting to realize this too. I'm just wondering when birth certificates are going to start changing, when people are literally going to be like, no, I'm not signing that. Are you shitting me? And then what are they going to do? Do they keep the baby? You got to read the paperwork you sign when you go in to give labor. Think about it, guys. Think about it for a second. I guarantee somewhere in there, that the hospital gets possession of your child if you don't do as you're supposed to. There's got to be. If not, don't sign the birth certificate. What are they going to do? I mean, you probably won't be able to get stuff, but your child won't belong to them. I don't know. That'd be a show I'd love to. I'd like that. That'd be a show I'd like to be a part of. Or one of the guys that are actually bigger out there. Nino, make that happen, huh? You go make that show happen. Somebody ought to talk about that. But don't do it from a scary standpoint, or if you're gonna, at least get somebody that's not fucking scared to be on there so they can counteract the friggin' insanity that sometimes comes out. U.S. Supreme Court won't review assault weapon high-capacity magazine bans yet. Was it drawing a blank, Kavanaugh? He's like, nah, we'll get to this. We're getting to it. We're not taking it right now. Gorsuch, Alito, and Thomas all came out and said, dude, we're dissenting from this decision to reject the appeal for the moment. Eventually, the fourth conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh expressed sympathy in the statement accompanying the Maryland case toward the argument made by the challengers that AR-15s are in common use by law-abiding citizens and therefore are protected by the Second Amendment. Kavanaugh said the court presumably will address the AR-15 issue soon. A lot of people wanted to call it an assault weapon. My understanding, it's not really an assault weapon. I don't truly know. I forgot anyway what makes an assault weapon, but I just always remember one of my favorite guns in all of the Call of Duty games was the SAW. It was always this, which is, what is it? Oh, damn, standoff assault weapon, right? It's an assault weapon. It's usually the M60. So I think that's the only one that's considered an assault weapon. And yeah, the M60 is a friggin' crazy gun. Compared to an AR-15, shit, man. AR-15 is practically a BB gun. Kind of not, but AR-15, damn. This is more insanity. Multiple people injured. I guess some horrible thing happened in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This is, I don't know what the shit's going on around right now, but this is not cool. Maybe it eventually will be not cool. We'll see if this ever decides to load.
Wreck here in Gatlinburg. Major crash in the side of Gatlinburg here. We've got a serious accident here. This is in Gatlinburg, in the middle of Tennessee, the middle of Gatlinburg. There's multiple crashes. There's guys.
Isn't that out there where Dollywood is? I think it's all that shit's out there. But I actually never went out there. I lived really close. I lived just down the hill from it, basically. Never. I hate crowds. I just hate crowds. I hate going to crowds. I don't like crowds. Used to. I mean, I've been to concerts and all that, but I just don't enjoy it anymore. I just like being around mobs of people. Just generally not the best idea. Mobs of people do stupid things. They've been burning down France in the past few days. Or like this douchehole. There's some Egyptian dude, not to spoil the story, but yeah, some guy, Egyptian, came here. And it was funny, is Axios or Politico, one of them bastards, spun it in a fun way. They're like, well, this guy came in under, who was it? Miller, Stephen Miller's department of whatever the hell it was that was approving the when you go into another country legally, right? Your visa. He approved it, so they're trying to blame him for it. And it's just like, all right, whatever. The dude overstayed his visa big time, and he is Egyptian, supposedly. He's not in the worst shape. I'll give him that. He brought Molotov cocktails and literally caught people on fire. And so they were kind of afraid to come to him, and somehow he seemed to be able to cause problems. So several people were injured there. I don't need to play that. This is him kind of walking in the background, obviously. There's still fire happening. There's a lady right here that seems to be still catching fire. Like, I don't know, I think he was throwing the alcohol on him more than necessarily like smashed a Molotov cocktail on him. I don't know if he's got like a squirt bottle in there and he's able to pressure shoot it and then he's got fire all over the place. I don't know exactly what these things are. I don't see like a, standard like kind of rag sticking out of it, if you will. Not that I'm an expert making Molotov cocktails, for that matter. He burnt himself badly, but here's the thing of him holding it being a...
We're here, brother. We're here. We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing.
We can!
Not here.
You have to answer this.
Not here, bro.
You're not.
People are taking video right now. He was wearing an orange suit with like something on his back.
Spraying alcohol,
Spraying alcohol, but what he did was he made it look like he was here.
He's making Molotov cocktails.
See, it seems like it's got like a trigger on it, and he's able to shoot. I don't know if it lights itself, and he's just shooting streams of fire, or if he's shooting people with the gas or the liquid, and then there's like a fire someplace he started, so he just, draws the stream down to the fire. I don't know.
And for us,
Well, we can't do it when he's got Molotov cocktails in
if you are fighting, you have to.
That's what he's got right here. Is Molotov
I don't know if that's a Molotov cocktail. Is it?
They are killers.
It's like got a lid on it or some shit. I don't know what this is. I mean, it's not my understanding of a Molotov cocktail. Here's a guy who's like, yeah, all right, I'll catch on fire. It doesn't look like a good idea. That is a big boy. He will literally run out of breath in about 2 seconds. This guy, he can definitely probably go 15. Seems in much better shape anyways. Poor tan lines though. This guy, come on, man. Get that shirt off once in a while. Maybe lack of vitamin D is why this dude's being a douche hole. But yeah, he I don't know if anyone died or just injured. It seems that just injured. They seem like the people were able to help put people out, but still freaking gnarly, right? Tourists are fleeing as Mount Etna erupts. Again, this is why I have issues with people. So we've got a volcano. It was already erupting. It erupted bigger, but this is an active volcano. Actively active. And then it got like it threw a little fart out its face. And then you see all these people running. As the deadly pyroclastic flow heads down the mountainside towards them. Yeah, this is anybody that watched the movies of Mount St. Helens realizes not a good idea. Nope. Anyway, this is an active volcano. Also part of the world where the coronal hole just passed. We were talking about that. There's also the Alaska volcano I was wondering about. We don't have any coronal holes coming into play, so that one might make it another cycle. Again, interesting how things are happening at this moment in time. We are in changing times, folks. I don't know if you guys are fond of King of the Hill. Apparently voice actor in that, which was something I wanted to get I still want to get into, by the way, is something I will do. Let's put it that way. Voice actor has been shot to death in San Antonio during an argument with a neighbor. I don't know which character he plays, or which many characters he possibly played. But yeah, he was shot and killed by his neighbor. His neighbor's pissed off, shot him, pulled out a gun, bah, and then took off in his car. Cops got him, and he's arrested. Dude's dead. Bond sent for $200,000. Very sad. I wish they would have put the characters he played, but yeah, Jonathan Joss. I don't know if you guys are big fans. At least check out the credits. You'll probably be able to figure out who it was. I want to remind you guys, of course, of a great family that's helping me with merchandise. Yeah, got some awesome ways to be able to at least look like Dan radio style, if you will, and kind of represent. Throw a picture my way too, if you can, or through this company. You get an email when you buy one, and just send them a picture of you wearing it or a picture of it on you, or I don't know, something simple. And you don't have to show your face if you don't want to, whatever. But you wear like the hat. You don't want to show your face, put it on backwards even, and cover your ears if you're worried about it. But yeah, the hat's super cool. I love it. I love the hat. I love this emblem. I'm proud of it. It's something I came up with. I'm not real creative when it comes to stuff like that. And the fact that I saw it one day, I was like, that's it. That's perfect. And so, yeah, it's got the D, top of the microphone, the R, and the S. For any of you guys that are like, oh, now I get it. I thought it was just because it was a microphone. No, it's a cool microphone. It's what it is. Super cool. You can be a part of that. They got that. We also got some stuff. She's kind of got this, like, she likes to change the world. She wants to put truth out there. She wants people to, learn and understand 9/11 was freaking crazy. Want to understand that what happened when Trump got shot and he got back up and said, fight, fight, fight is more than just, a day in history. It's like so unique, the time he was shot, and Ephesians 6:6, you're 6:11, sorry. Oh, wrong Ephesians, 6:11 Ephesians, put on your armor of God, right? And then, of course, we got 5G warfare, something that I want to say Mike Flynn probably made super famous, General Flynn, and very cool stuff. And it's got the 5 different generations on the back. All the shirts have, like some stuff on the back, right? So it's a big part of what this lady, individual, I don't want to say her name, I feel like that's bad, but yeah, she Freethinker 27, I think is what she tends to go by everywhere. I think she's got channels and stuff. She's typically more of a TikToker, if you guys want to try to find her out there. I think it's like 0027, Freethinker 0027, something like that. Whatever. First generational warfare, second, third, fourth, boom, we are here, down here. So again, all these shirts have that cool kind of extra info. Go to truththread.shop. It's truththread.shop, and no, the girl doesn't come with the shirt. I've asked more than once. I actually got threatened if I asked again. She's like, dude, if you ask one more time. All right, I'm just saying. I mean, she can show up with the gun. I'm just saying, I just want to talk, have a glass of wine, just see what comes from the discussion. Anyway, truththread.shop, truththread.shop. It's much more important. You can make a difference too. Love it. And again, we've got ourselves making a difference. Keep ripples going. Make these senators understand what's important. I think, if I'm wrong, if you guys disagree with me, then push your angle with your senators, not mine. But we need them to understand where and how we feel. We need to make noise about it. We need to get other people talking about it. We need to ripple big time. We're changing the world, folks, but it's these things that are helping expand larger consciousness. And you guys are the key. That's why I like to say all the time, where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.